Okay, we will finish up players. We got Adrian Martinez here, and then we're expecting Coach Frost around 12:30. So I will go to Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star first.
Hey, Adrian, just watching the film back, could you give us your sense of the way that you played on Friday and just your overall your overall thoughts about how it went?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. Relatively, I feel like I was efficient. There are obviously a few decisions I'd like to have back, but I think that's pretty normal. Um, the little things biting us again that we have to clean up, and that's our whole offensive unit. I know, and it's never fun to lose. So tough lessons, but I know we are getting better. And I know all of us are taking something away from a game like that.
You mentioned the little things. I know that there's not just a magic cure for getting that done, but in your mind, like what separates teams or units that do the little things well and teams or units that don't always?
Mm. Yeah, well, I would say we're just gonna have to continue to keep putting effort towards those things in practice. I think that's all we can do, and I think those teams that do execute those little details, they're doing those things in practice, and they're executing it when their name and the time calls for them to do so in the game. And obviously, that's me getting better in practice. That's our whole offensive unit. We're going to keep hammering those details, and I think that's all we can really do.
Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Adrian, what are we going to learn about this team and this program over the month of December, and just as far as just the culture and how bad guys want to win over this final stretch of the season?
Yeah, well, I think you said it. It's about grit. It's about wanting to win. The rest of the season, that stuff's in the past. All we have now is Purdue this week, and we have to make the most of it. And our guys are going to come out with fire and intensity this week to get it done. And that's what culture is. That's what the desire to win is, and we're going to come with that type of attitude this week because we have to.
Brian Christopherson. Kevin.
If I could backtrack a little bit. Everybody saw your pregame speech against Penn State. When you found out you weren't going to be the starter that week and then the next week, what was your mindset as a competitor, to stay engaged in the fight to come back like you have?
Yeah, well, more importantly, my mindset was that of a captain. Our captains are voted on by the team, and that's something that means a lot to me. And it's an honor, and I owe it to those guys to give it everything I have, and that was really my mindset. Regardless of the fact that I had been demoted, I was going to be there to support Luke and support our team because I mean that's what matters. That's what I came here to do, and my mindset didn't shift. I wanted to win. I still want to win, and showing up each and every day with that type of attitude and mindset is what leaders do. Is what good leaders do.
Did you understand the challenge from coaches when they laid out, you mentioned demoted that week? Did you understand what was in front of you as they kind of put it to you and why that was the situation?
Yeah, I feel like the coaches did a good job of that, and I'm not really going to give up too many details here because I think stuff like that needs to stay in house. But yeah, I had a complete understanding, and again, it wasn't going to change my mindset towards practice, towards games. I was still going to approach everything with the same sort of intensity and competitiveness that I would usually. And obviously, being that captain, being a good teammate to others, that stuff wasn't going to change.
Thank you.
Derek Peterson, Hale Varsity.
Hey, Adrian. Cam Jurgens is going through some stuff right now. From your position, is there anything that you can maybe say or do to help him out with anything, be it in the game or outside of the game, or do you get the sense that he's just kind of in his head a little bit right now?
For me personally, just give him feedback. I know he knows me coming up to him and getting in his face and anything like that. I don't think that's going to help the situation. And just getting extra reps, whether that be before practice, after practice, on off days. He's putting in the work, and I know it's something that matters a lot to him. So just helping them with that process. I think that's all I can do, and the rest of the quarterbacks, really.
Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
This is a broad question, Adrian, but I think you're pretty well equipped to answer it. Is it hard to get on players in today's day and age? Is it hard to get on your teammates? Is it challenging to challenge them in really aggressive ways when you feel like it's necessary? And if so, why?
Yeah, this is interesting because I think my opinion, my mindset towards that's kind of changed a little bit. I always kind of believe that great players, good players like to be coached hard. But people are different, especially here at Nebraska. Guys come from all different types of cultures and environments. So I believe it's kind of a case-to-case type of deal. And getting to know that person, getting to know that player and what motivates them is a big piece of that. I would say generally with my generation, guys tend not to like to be yelled at and stuff like that, especially in group settings. So little things like that you have to know in my position as a captain and trying to get on those guys. Yeah, I definitely do that, but I don't want to yell in front of the whole team and embarrass them. So sometimes that means pulling them aside and coaching them up that way.
That said, and I really, really appreciate that answer, Adrian. I really do. When your coach talks about guys that he used to play with, and I don't know how well you know those guys, but a lot of the guys on the Zoom call know those guys. And they were the kind of guys who called people out in public. Like they were tough love leaders. Do you have to find ways to duplicate that, but at the same time, how do you figure out what a guy likes or doesn't like? Like how do you figure out if he can take that coaching in public or if he can even take criticism?
Yeah, and I think the way you're asking this question, you're alluding to it, but it's tricky. It really is tricky. And with kind of what we stand for here at Nebraska and, some of that old school tough love, there's definitely a place for that. And it does play a role here in our program. But if you can have the combination of those two, and some guys, not everyone's going to be a perfect fit. Not everyone's going to love that style, but that's our culture, and that's what the coaches want to establish. That's what our leaders want to establish. So it's kind of that blend of the two. And I believe that's just the current state of the athlete, in my opinion.
Thank you, Adrian.
Time for two or three more for Adrian. Steve Sipple, Lincoln Journal-Star.
How are you with like tough coaching on the practice field? How do you react? How do you respond to it?
I like it personally. Obviously, you guys know my coach, Verduzco. He's a big details guy, and he's going to be hard on us as quarterbacks and demand a lot. And I respect that, and I love that personally. Whether that means yelling or not yelling, that sort of thing, I think it just depends, But for me, I know when a coach is coaching me hard, that means he cares.
Adrian, and the other question I had for you regarded, it was a little bit different of a quarterback setup on Friday in that you knew Luke was coming in pretty quick after two series, according to Coach Frost. How were you with that setup on Friday?
Yeah, well, I was prepared for it. I think that's all you can ask for, really. And I was ready. Whatever the coaches think that we need to do to win, I'm ready to make that happen. So that was a situation for that game, and I was well prepared and stayed engaged, and Luke did the same. So I feel like we executed that plan pretty well, the two of us.
You basically only had one incompletion. Is that as comfortable as you felt passing this year?
You could definitely say that. I felt really comfortable and confident back there, and obviously there are a few decisions I would have liked to have back. I think when I scrambled, I could have held in there a little bit longer and made a throw, but I believe those are normal things, and when you look back, and hindsight's 20/20. So, I'd say in general that was the most comfortable I'd felt.
Thank you, Adrian.
Evan Bland, World Herald.
Hey, Adrian, I wanted to ask you about the running backs. I'm just curious from your position as a quarterback, what's the challenge in rotating so many guys in there, not just maybe taking handoffs, but trusting them in pass protection or whatever else it is that they might be doing. What's that challenge for you? And then maybe what's your sense of where that group is mentally in a season where they've kind of been banged up back there?
Yeah. I would say it's not any different than what we're going through as a team, just adversity. And I believe Coach HOL does a really good job with those guys, and that's why we're so confident in them. It doesn't matter who's back there for Luke or myself. We know they're going to be able to get the job done, whether it comes to pass protection or whatever they're being asked of when it comes to running a route or getting the ball handed off to them. Obviously, you saw Ramir get some extensive action this last Friday, and he did a good job. So we're confident in those guys, and we're going to continue to be that way no matter who's back there because of Coach Held and the rest of this staff and the part that we all play in making sure those guys are prepared.
One last quick one for Adrian. Andy Kendi, KETV.
Last year at Purdue, I remember it being so cold and windy in that news conference outside, and you came out in a t-shirt and stocking feet. What do you remember most about that game, and does it stick with you more so than other games that you played?
Yeah, it definitely does, and I'll keep some of that personal to me, but definitely a game I'll remember, and one that we made too many mistakes offensively. The defense played really well, and something that we'll have to learn from going into this game. Yeah, sorry I couldn't give you a better answer there.
All right, thanks, Adrian. That'll wrap it up for players today, and we'll have Coach Frost here in a couple minutes.